Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Welcome to Fintech Drinks. Should be seeing my screen now. I hope it is working. Do you see my screen? In any case, my name is Nicholas Beliveau. I'm the head of marketing at Fintech Cadence and would like to welcome you to tonight's Fintech Drinks. While everybody tunes in, just want to say, cheers to everybody who's listening tonight. We're bringing the FinTech. Unfortunately, we can't bring drinks for everybody, but show you what I have here. It's from Microbrasserie Frontibus, a New England IPA from Rivière-du-Loup. Rivière-du-Renard, sorry. So cheers to everybody, and we're happy to have you here with us. Tonight we have a great evening planned, but before we get into that, just want to run you through how to use Hopin. So for the people who are new here to Hopin, you'll see on this side of the screen, you have a chat. There's an event chat, stage chat as well. So in the event chat, you could let us know where you're listening from, introduce yourselves. We'd love to know who's here with us this evening. It's a great time to network amongst yourselves. Hopefully you got here as a 5 to test out the network functionality just down there. But don't worry, if you didn't, there'll be more networking later this evening. Other than that, you'll notice on this side, there's also a poll functionality. There'll be 2 polls this evening, and we'll let you know once they're active, so you could check them out and cast your vote. So this evening, the agenda will start off with an introduction by introducing what digital transformation is all about. We'll then be chatting with the Holt Accelerator. They'll be introducing their new startups, part of their 2020 cohort, where they'll be all doing some rocket pitches. Following this, we'll have the panel discussion, the main event, so to speak. And finally, we'll have sessions and more networking at the end of the evening, and we'll explain what that is all about at the end after the panel. So make sure you stick around till the end. So before we get started, for those who are new to Fintech Drinks and don't know about Fintech Cadence, we're a community organization and act as Canada's Fintech hub. Our mission is to develop future Fintech leaders, and we do that through our 3 pillars, one of which is education. We also aim to support early stage Fintech startups, as well as collaborate with the ecosystem, whether it be FIs, companies, startups, and academia, to really bring the ecosystem, the Fintech industry together. Our 3 programs are these, the ones you see on screen, the certificate. This is really a 12-week program to learn the ABCs of Fintech. We have the Ascension program, which is a Fintech incubation program for early stage Fintech startups. Applications are already open if you have a Fintech startup. They close December 8th, and the program kicks off in February 2021. And lastly, the Formathon. It's Canada's biggest open innovation competition in Fintech. This is generally in the spring, 2021, where it's for those who want to get involved in Fintech and maybe don't necessarily have a startup already. This is a great starting point. We also host a number of events, so Fintech Drinks, like we have here this evening. We have the Fintech Career Fair and University Series, where we go around in different universities to inspire and educate university students about are. All right, so tonight's event, we're talking about digital transformation, and it would not be possible without the support of our co-title sponsors. So tonight's event is sponsored by EY as well as Expertis. And to kick things off, we're going to start off with an introduction to digital transformation. And to do so, I'd like to invite Glenn Parkinson. He's Canada's strategic transformation leader at EY. So if Glenn, you could join me on stage.
Oh,
how's it going?
Good, thank you. I joined you abruptly and suddenly, so glad to be here,
No,
Nick.
that's perfect.
Thanks for having us, and thanks to Fintech Cadence.
Yeah, my pleasure. So maybe to kick it off, could you just sum up what we'll be speaking about this evening, introduce digital transformation and what that really means?
Sure, and it's a good starting point because I think that the phrase gets used a lot, and it's pretty broad and easy to apply to a lot of situations. I personally, and like I told you ahead of time, this is not really the EY position, but it's kind of Glenn's position. I think it works though, and maybe in the comments people can tell me if it does or doesn't. but I think, you know, if we think about it as applying technology, you know, to dramatic effect or to big change, like step function change, I think that's the way to characterize it, because a lot of, you know, organizations have technology work and projects going, and they say, well, we're automating the manual process, or we're taking steps or people or paper out. But to me, that's business as usual. Digital transformation in a way that's meant to be, you know, in the way that I think we're trying to talk about tonight, is something that makes a real impact on clients, however you define them, employees, stakeholders. So a really big change.
Absolutely. Okay, I like your definition versus the copy paste one that we could find on Google. So what does that, like, could you give us some concrete examples of what's happened in FIs that would be defined as a digital transformation?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, there's the big ones that you would, you know, the pure play fintechs, right? That emerged and really challenged. They were sort of like the existential threat 5 or 6 years ago to banks. So the, you know, the robo advisors were one, and now that's kind of become sort of a hybrid form of wealth advice that clients get from a full service bank. Other ones, you know, another famous one that a lot of our 75 people on, you know, on the event will know a lot about if you spend time in the industry is, you know, the loan application, or, you know, the paper-based small business loan, let's say. One extreme, there's a lot of focus on that area, and looking at, you know, how can we, there's two kind of approaches. From inside out, what you'll see all the banks working on or already out in the market with is, let's take out the paper, replace it with online forms, and have like a workflow engine to track that work all the way through the bank, because it's kind of a complicated process and it has to touch a lot of people. That sounds kind of mundane, but actually ends up having a dramatic effect on cost and speed, which is really important, because a credit to a small business is the lifeblood, and it's a really important moment. So if you can go from 2 to 4 weeks, and who knows when it'll get approved, to 4 days, and I can see it through the process, that's a major improvement. And, you know, that's what the banks are sort of squirreling away at now in many cases. The other extreme would be, well, and this is where more of the pure plays come in, the non-traditionals. Let's use customer data, non-traditional customer data or data sources, an AI algorithm, and instantly approve and fund the loan. Like that's a very different proposition. I think both count, and in Canada we see a lot of the latter, but those ones have trouble getting scale because the big 6 banks just have such a hold on the populace. Mm-hmm. It's more about innovation from the inside out now, in terms of how fintechs seem to be playing, at least in the bigger organizations. And there's a huge scope for them there too, by the way. Like there's a lot of room to be the outsourced innovation function for large banks.
Like, in your opinion, the maybe the most interesting digital transformations you've seen, and then looking forward, where you might see it going, what excites you about what's possible in terms of digital transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot to say about what's exciting. I mean, originally, many years, you know, several years ago, when, you know, the regional FIs, like the credit unions and a couple of the banks, got into partnerships with a fintech that was pure, and the fintech's brand was on the front, which is something you don't see as much nowadays. That was really exciting, right? And we thought maybe there's a way that, you know, there'll be 2 solitudes, and there'll be this sort of digital way of offering service that the banks aren't going to consider core, and that was pretty exciting. That's evolved. It's morphed a little bit, and now it seems as though the capability delivery with a big bank is where fintechs play, and it's not always at the front, because there's been a battle over who owns customer data, and then there's the tricky party to convince, which is the risk and compliance, and how do we do that? So it's sort of, ends up getting embedded as a real capability. What I found exciting though is that one of my clients, one of my main clients, is one of the big banks, and we did a program last year creating a 3-year roadmap of what is the consumer facing digital capabilities you're going to require over the next 3 years or 5 years to best serve ultra high net worth and high net worth. So we're not talking about robo advice for the Gen Z. We're talking about people with 5 to 10 million in investable assets, and 42 different capabilities, from chat to secure lockbox to all kinds of different capabilities. And of those 40-ish, 35 were identified from fintech providers or partners. So it really became about how do we stitch these together into a smooth offering. And that's the role of IT these days, is really just to accept it's going to be a multi-product background, and you just need to be able to work in that context. So I think it's really exciting and a great time to be in the fintech space. And the risk and compliance guys, especially, and with apologies to the risk and compliance people in the audience, there's not a lot of upside to agreeing to change like this for those groups, but it's starting to evolve in the last 5-6 months, have really caused people to look at things differently. So
I think that's a great intro, Glenn, to what is fascinating. And I think it's a good segue to the next part of the evening, where we'll be meeting with the new Holt fintech startups. So Glenn, thanks for joining us. Thanks for EY for supporting fintech. And we'll move on with the next part of the evening. So thank you, Glenn.
Great, pleasure. Thea, thanks for having us again.
Cheers. I heard that you guys didn't see my screen earlier. Apologies about that. I hope you can see it now. Perfect. I see it myself, so it should be working. So for the next part of the evening, it's going to be very different. We haven't done online at Fintech Drinks, at least. I'd like to welcome to the stage the founding managing partner of Holt Accelerator, Jan Arp. Hey, Jan.
How's it going, everybody? Great to be here.
Happy to have you here. So maybe to kick it off, well, cheers. What are you drinking this evening?
I got a nice cool pint here and a nice glass that I got on vacation. So a little bit more of a local brew right here. So great. Hoping you the same. I heard that you had a nice local brew supporting those micro brews as well.
Yeah, from Gaspésie. So I had a little road trip and brought back a little collection.
I don't know are we legally allowed to drink on camera? Is that something we should be concerned of? Are we going to get in trouble from the SEC or?
It's called Fintech Drinks. It's in the name. It's fine. But water, tea, coffee, whatever you want. I think having a beverage is the the mandatory thing. So for those who don't know Holt Accelerator, could you please tell us a bit about what you guys do?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we scout the world. Through the 10,000 fintechs globally, then we work through our 300 advisors to understand exactly what they're looking for. And we're kind of like a matchmaker. We pick the top ones that fit our society's greatest challenges. We invest first, and then we get to the point where we get them so that they're ready to be investable, working alongside great financial institution partners like Fairstone, who's going to be on later, who is probably pound for pound when we talk, whether you're comparing assets or employees, one of the best digital adopters. And we've seen several partnerships with our fintechs and working with them. So very great to tune in for that panel later on. But that gives you a little bit of a gist of what we're up to.
Okay, fantastic. And tonight we'll be meeting your new cohort. I see on your screen you have it's written poll. So does that something have to do with what's happening this evening?
Absolutely. Thanks for that. I mean, I have the nice words here. I didn't get it all technical and digital. I just wrote it out for us just in case as a nice reminder. So thank you for that. It is poll, and that means check the poll section. Wait to vote till you hear the pitch. We want the Audience Choice Award. So you have to therefore listen to the amazing pitches that you will hear and choose your favorite one so we can have the big unveil so we can already get a sample of who's doing well in their pitch right now.
100%. It's already available. So you click on this side of the screen. There's chat and then polls. So in polls, you already see it there, but wait till the end of the pitches such that you could vote for your favorite. So On that note, Jan, I'll leave you to it. Have a good show, everybody, and look to hear these 8 stars pitch.
Fantastic. So they say that history repeats, and much like the Renaissance, during the time of a great plague, communication was challenged, and it led to the creation of the printing press. Well, today, COVID-19 has accelerated our need to communicate and exchange, albeit digitally. So the world has shifted, though. In a pre-COVID world, once it was a rising tide floats all boats for fintechs, but now we've seen that turned into streams and waves, and whereby a seasoned sailor can ride those waves into bluer oceans of opportunities, the less experienced and less agile may run its course adversely. So we at Holt pivoted completely to give some example digitally, listening to our 300 advisors through surveys and meetings, supporting our portfolio of companies, traveling digitally to these different areas, hosting webinars around the world, and scouting from the 10,000 fintechs out there to select the top 1%, which you will get to meet very shortly. Each of these companies solve our society's greatest challenges, which we've broken into 3 fields that we'll get to: insurtech, blockchain, and artificial intelligence. So to get things started, let's dive right into it. No time like the present. I'd like to welcome our insurtech companies to the stage of Centro, Relativity 6, and Talem. So please pop on as I continue why we looked at insurance. You see, the insurance sector has been several years behind banking. However, this year we're starting to see the year insurance is making the comeback. And it's given the ability, because of the pressures that they're facing from premiums, the downward pressures alongside the need to reduce costs in this time, or increase revenues is more welcomed, more so than ever. So we've definitely looked at 3 different areas to make this happen. So just as we're about to hear from our first, reminder to also have our other companies, Relativity 6 and Talem, on the stage at this point to make sure that we are efficient in each of these pitches. I want to see each of those beautiful faces as they get into a pitch. But without further ado, Centro, you're first up anyways. Let's hear it. What is Centro all about?
Yeah, thanks, Jen. I'm Hans from Centro. I'm the co-founder. Centro, it's the only true SaaS group insurance platform. I represented New Zealand in curling, and I know a bit about how important teamwork is. And group insurance needs teamwork too. Insurers, brokers, and service providers all have to work together to deliver the customized service that business customers demand. The group insurance industry is enormous, but it has a major problem. The systems that they run their operations on were written decades ago. They're difficult to change. Creating a new product or service can literally take years. So they can no longer service the business customers in the way that the business customers are demanding. The solution is Centro. Centro lets insurers give each business customer exactly what they want. Insurers can create new plans in hours, not months. They can do quotes in minutes, not days. They can offer a fully digital customer and employee experience. We're true SaaS. There's nothing to install. Insurers can eliminate their internal IT costs. Our out-of-the-box functionality means fast, low-cost implementation and the lowest total cost of ownership in the entire industry. I'm Hans from Centro, and please come and meet us in the networking sessions.
Woo! Well done, Hans. Love it. You set the bar very high. So I'd love to do a round of applause, but we're going to dive right into the next one right away. Alan, you're already moving. You're shaking. You're next up. Let's hear what you got.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat. But hi, everybody. My name's Alan Ringwald. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Relativity 6. And no doubt you guys have all heard of machine learning and AI before, but you actually might be surprised to hear that only 3% of insurance companies and banks actually operationalize this technology. 3 real reasons why: data problems, infrastructure problems, and user experience problems. What we've done at Relativity 6 is create a platform that unifies everything. So kind of like Hans was saying, a really easy to use SaaS-based platform targeted specifically at the insurance brokerage space to give them that AI ML capability. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys very much.
Awesome. Well done and well said in that note. So let's flip it last to complete round out the insurance side. Paul, what do you got for us? What is Talem up to?
Well, always a tough act to follow from those two, but good evening. My name is Paul Travis, co-founder and CEO at Talem Health. Talem Health is a full stack claims management company where we strive for socially driven claim outcomes. Top auto insurers can face an average of $3 billion in medical expenses, and this traditional process drives policyholder churn. Our proprietary AI application measures forensic and medical data to determine recovery and cost of policyholders following accident. Our insights ensure policyholders receive the best medical outcome and insurers achieve the best financial result, doing this 80% faster and for 20% less. We're currently working with top US auto insurers and integrated with industry partners globally. And through our growth phase, we're expanding across the US and trying to be the best settlement tool that auto insurers can use, but with transparent and socially driven outcomes. So I look forward to seeing you guys over here, and it's great to be on stage. Thank you.
Awesome. Well done, guys. Well done to hear from core systems, customer insights, all the way to settlement, full suite settlement systems and insurance. I'd like to have you guys step off the stage now as we move on to our next platform, but thank you. As we move on to the next one, I'm going to also then welcome up our next block of pitchers, and therefore we're into the blockchain segment. So therefore, Agrio, Solid Block, and as two starting points for sure. And Avneris, if you're in the house. So why are we looking at blockchain, where the most traditional players have been kind of slow to adopt this sort of technology, especially when considering the technology's inability to be used in a mainstream infrastructure way. We're now seeing an uplift for core use cases when they're implemented from a decentralized database perspective, including securitization of assets, but as well as utilizing it as the most advanced cyber threat systems of our times. So here to give us a couple pitches real quick, we'd love to hear from, I guess, Agro, you're first up here. Isaac, how's it going? What are you doing?
Very well, very happy to join the Canadian ecosystem. And let me talk about one of the key sectors for our existence on Earth, agriculture. Do you all know we are marching to a shortage in food in the next couple of years? We are in a gap of food production. So Agri exists to solve that exact problem. We deliver risk intelligence source for companies, financial institutions, and insurance companies where they can evaluate, monitor, and analyze any crop field for the crops which they need to finance or insure or do a barter operation. That means companies can do more loans or more insurance contracts with less cost in a faster way, and farmers can have access to so need capital to improve our production and not harm our ecosystem. All that valid and tracked on the blockchain infrastructure. Imagine that new age on finance agriculture. Hoping to talk everyone by the after the pitch. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much, Isaac. Let's keep it rolling. Yael, how's it going? Okay, let's hear what Solid Block is up to. Ooh, my concern is that it looks a little frozen on her side, so it may have just frozen. Let's give it a second. Yael, are you there? Are you able to tell us more about Solid Block?
I guess there are some issue there.
Timing's tough when you do live pitches, that's for sure. So yeah, I kind of see her moving. Oh, we can hear you now. Good call on removing the video. Yael, if you're still there, we'll just hear you pitch. Perfect. Hear you well. Let's hear it.
Okay. Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Fantastic. All right. So I'm Yael Tamar, CMO and partner at Solid Block. And guys, out of $300 trillion worth of real estate globally, only 1% of that is tradable or liquid, which creates an amazing opportunity in a very inefficient market space. So for those investors who are not satisfied with having their funds locked up for 5 to 7 years every time you invest in real estate, Solid Block is presenting a better way and a much more flexible asset class to invest in and benefit from the growth of the real estate market. We are a digital securities issuance and trading platform that has been used to tokenize the first ever commercial real estate asset, which was the Aspen St. Regis Ski Resort, which raised $18 million on our platform. We're fully operational. We have a lot of different projects on our marketplace. We raised $725,000 US dollars out of our $2.2 million round. And if you guys are interested, be happy to talk to you. I'm at yael@solidblock.co. You can Google my name.
Awesome.
And I'm
well done.
readily
Thank you so
available
much
anywhere
to our
on social
blockchain
media
companies.
and so on.
There was one, Monica
Jeff
was
John is
Thank you so
with
much.
some trouble there.
Can you guys hear me okay? It was well done. Thanks for the pitches. So thanks to the blockchain folks. I'll have you guys take off.
Let's see if there are anything else from our good people on the backstage.
Yeah, at this point, I'll invite both Isaac and Yael to leave the stage. Perfect. Thank you. Hopefully you guys can still see me as of right now. All right, just double checking. Seemed to be a little bit of technical side. If we were short of one of our teams, Monica, if you are there, she was kind of going into different rooms. I mean, we're in a digital world, yet it's still, we end up in different rooms and it's kind of hard to find the stage sometimes. It's kind of comical how that relates to the digital space. In the meantime, I'd like to invite up also our AI companies. So both Fidectis and Onist. Can you guys pop on stage at this time? I want to quickly at this point speak about why AI, let's flip to what Montreal excels at. And at a global level, I'm talking AI. You know, the core value for financial services is really about streamlining processes and removing friction around trade, whether that means utilizing AI in the exchange process, especially for when settlement is still conducted manually, or helping getting rid of financial banking products they need when they need it. So let's dive in. I'm going to again ask our AI companies, so specifically Fidectis and Onist, just Fidectis and Onist onto the stage, please.
Hey.
Awesome. So as Chris, beautiful background, by the way, but as well, that looks like some sort of green screen area, but let's get into it for sake of time. Let's hear it. Chris, what are you guys working on at Fidectis?
Absolutely. So today's energy traders experience post-trade process as being complex, costly, and protracted. To give you an idea, one of our largest customers, a company called RWE, they do about 10 billion euros of cash flows monthly. The opportunity to optimize cash flows is a $3 billion market opportunity. We developed a software as a service platform that automates post-trade processing. We return cash to the business quicker, reduce credit risk, and we have a team that's been together or has collectively about 100 years of experience in both energy business and in IT. We get paid by transactional fees. Essentially, we become the single point of truth for post-trade processing. Our vision to be the preeminent post-trade processing platform for OTC platforms globally. So far, we've raised $1.2 million, converted 4 of the largest energy traders to our platform. In our first quarter of commercial operation, settled close to 2 billion euros. So if you want to find out more, please call us or join us in the session afterwards. Thanks, Jan.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you so much for that. Just going to check real quick if Kendall or Monica are around. I know they're on the platform hopping. I think they're hopping around. If you guys are, you have 5 seconds to join. In the meantime, as we're wrapping this up, we do have the poll section. So please do click the polls. Now is the time to vote for your favorite pitches. Although it would be great if you could at least wait, but definitely make sure you know who you're voting for. So at this note, Nicholas is back on. So we only got to see 6 of the 8, but great to have Nicholas back. Nicholas, how did the polls do? How did it look?
Yeah, I think people are still, if you did not yet vote, a reminder on this side of the screen, you have a polls tab, and I invite you to vote for your favorite pitch. We're going to reveal the crowd favorite in just a few moments once everybody's voted. So behind stage, Gigi, you could let me know in the chat which one will walk away with the honorary prize of the evening.
We need a drum roll. Is there some form of drum roll as we build the suspense and this huge award of the People's Choice Awards? I mean, that's what products are all about.
I could try it. Maybe as it comes in. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have the winner. So congrats goes to Solid Block. Good job, Solid Block. You guys are the choice the Public Choice Award. So cheers to you.
Finally.
And we have one more. So Kendall, you won't be able to be winning the prize because the votes are in, but we'll Jen, we let him pick.
Absolutely. Let's hear from Kendall from Honest. He did find his way to the stage, so I want to hear it. Kendall, what are you working on? What is Honest?
Hi guys, thanks very much. Sorry about the lateness. I had troubles getting in. So our end-to-end digital platform is transforming the way people borrow money. With 25 years experience in the mortgage industry, we help build our proprietary technology, which exponentially increases efficiencies by automating the entire loan and decision-making process using AI, machine learning, CRMs, cloud document storage, just to name a few. It gives vendors and lenders greater visibility to the overall sales journey while automatically analyzing and matching the best lender for borrowers. Think of it like the Expedia financing. There are three main players in this ecosystem: lenders, borrowers, affiliate partners, like builders. Our revenue is generated from three revenue streams: SaaS model, data, pay-per-click, commissions on the products like mortgages. All are paid by the builders and lenders and are free to clients. Within less than 1 year, we have over 65% of Alberta's largest builders already using our platform. I've only touched on the surface of what our software is capable of doing and how it will transform the financing industry. I look forward to speaking with everybody more.
Awesome. Well done, Kendall, and explain the underserved prop tech environment and providing banking products to solve there. Thank you, Kendall. So I guess unfortunately we had one more, which was Monica, but we'll have to skip due to internet connectivity. Live events on a stream, it's tough. But thank you so much, FinTech Cadence, for having us and enabling us a chance to be welcomed into Canada through your wonderful platform.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. It was a real pleasure to listen to all the pitches from the 7 startups. So thank you to all the entrepreneurs as well for coming on to the event. And like was mentioned, you'll be able to meet with them in the sessions area. So you'll see right about here. After the panel, we'll be opening up the sessions. You'll be able to meet with the panelists, but as well as the startups that pitch. Hopefully all 8 will be available to be at the session, so you can learn from the last one who wasn't able to pitch. So Jen, thank you so much. And we'll move on to the main event. So I'm just going to pull up my screen and hopefully it will work properly this time. Fantastic. So onto the panel of tonight. We'll be speaking about the digital transformation of FIs. And we have 2 great panelists with us this evening. The first being François Côté. François Côté is the Chief Digital Technology Officer for Fairstone, responsible for digital transformation and innovation to drive business growth. A seasoned general manager, François combines his deep operational experience with his transactional and technological expertise to create new organizational capabilities for the overall business. A particular focus is the digital transformation of traditional operations in order to create simple and seamless customer experiences. François began his career at City Financial, the predecessor company of Fairstone, in a variety of progressive management roles with the organization's business development and product operations. He was instrumental in the multi-year development of a proprietary database and processing enterprise system for Fairstone's unique deep data on near-prime credit customers. He led the system's subsequent implementation across the business, where it eventually became the structural backbone of all lending operations. He also oversaw the development of the company's digital strategy, development of the first online loan quote module, digital monetization of legacy branch operations, and played a key role in the company's transition to a fully cloud computing environment. A champion of innovation and agility, François acts as an advisor of the Holt Fintech Accelerator and serves as chair board of JA Quebec, the provincial chapter of JA Worldwide, a global organization dedicated to youth business, education, and programming. Thank you for being here with us this evening, François. And we also have Jacques Leblanc. He's the founder, president, and CEO of Expertis Technologies and responsible for the overall direction of the company, including mission, vision, strategic direction, and business development. He has over 20 years of experience in the financial arena with concentration in wire transfers, payment systems, treasury management, and SWIFT products and applications. He has developed numerous conceptual designs to facilitate the transfer of funds for financial institutions and corporations. Mr. Leblanc graduated in 1988 from UQAM University in computer science and he is recognized in the financial industry as a subject matter expert in strategic management with a focus in devising successful implementation of mission-critical financial systems. He has also obtained numerous technology and business diplomas in the past 20 years. Jacques, François, thank you both for being with us here this evening. And now last, but certainly not least, your moderator for this evening. I'd like to introduce to the stage the Executive Director of Fintech Cadence, a professor of Concordia University and a fantastic moderator, Layal El Hadi. How's it going, Layal?
Good. How are you doing, Nick?
Very good, very good. So what did you think of the pitches this evening?
Oh, they're phenomenal. It's always great to see Holt's cohorts, and this year is no different, and still same high standards. So very happy to see them, and looking forward to also seeing them in the session. So it's always great to see.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to the main event. I see we already have our panelists on stage. Absolutely. So gentlemen, Layal, have a great panel, and I'll see you a bit later.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nick. And again, thank you to the Holt teams and Jan for coming in and presenting. I am very excited to be here today with François and Jacques. We've been talking and preparing for this panel for a couple of weeks now. So it's great to be able to have these conversations that we've been having on the side, but in person with everybody that's here today with us. Just a quick note for those of you guys on the chat, I see some of you have already started to introduce yourselves. If you can just let us know where you're from, if you're with a startup, if you're with a financial institution, that will be great. And also another reminder, we won't be doing the Q&A in the stage. In fact, we'll be doing a meet the panel portion, as Nick mentioned earlier, in a session room. So you can join there after the session, after the panel is done, and you can ask in person François and Jacques some more information or even something that we discussed as well. So welcome, François and Jacques.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, very excited to have you. So I know Nick gave everyone your full and official bio. I have very impressive on both of your sides, what you've been able to accomplish. Maybe I'll give you guys just another quick chance to introduce yourselves and why you're part of this conversation today. And Jacques, we'll start with you.
Okay, Expertus is a Montreal-based fintech founded in 2001. We are a leader in payment and cash management solutions. We are pioneer in cloud computing in the banking industry. And Expertus provides services to corporates, financial institutions, fund manager, and market infrastructures. Our innovative SaaS product enable our client to accelerate the digital transformation while complying with continuous increasing regulation. And I think regulation is a big topic for FI for the digital transformation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jacques. And François, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I work for a company called Fairstone. We are Canada's leading non-bank lender. We've been actually around, it'll be nearly 100 years in 3 years. And we operate in that, the non-bank lending space. So I'm looking forward to the discussion. I think there's a lot of buzz around digital transformation and why FIs can or can't move to a certain pace. And so yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the interaction and just having seen the whole cohort through the pitches when they pitch for during the selection days and even today. It's always amazing how quickly the pitches evolve and the talent that is out there solving pretty big problems, right, for the society. So super excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe we both were at Holt Selection Day just a few months ago.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. Great to see the selected teams and how they've evolved. So let's dive right into it. I mean, Glenn earlier gave us an introduction to digital transformation. I really want to ask you, having two experts here sitting in front of me, when we talk about digital transformation, especially in the context of financial institutions, we often think that, well, from our side, the external side, we often think that financial institutions don't want to transform or are intimidated by digital transformation. Why is that not really the case? And why is that an assumption that is made on behalf of FIs? And François, I'll start with you, and then Jacques, I'll come to you.
Yeah, no, I think here's why that happens. And financial institutions are investing heavily in their particular transformation. We heard from Glenn the level of investment by putting together long-term strategies. We have Scotiabank launched a digital factory. You have I think Desjardins, they launched the $45 million fund, and the list goes on and on and on, right? So they are investing and moving. So I think the question, and where it can get a bit frustrating at times, is why is it so slow to progress? And Jacques mentioned that on the regulatory space, but if you're a company that has existed for over 100 years or so, and you've grown through that, you have a patchwork of these systems that you basically have operated for decades, and probably acquired companies, and none of which is compatible. So it's a extremely complex series of legacy systems. And one of the areas that I think is actually one of the hardest to solve for in large organization is actually the organizational structure and the culture that's required to drive and push change. And that has a lot to do why something as a simple change can take a very long time, if ever, right? And I think we'll have the chance to talk a bit about that as well tonight, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jacques, I'll let you join in as well and see what your perceptions have been.
Yeah, I totally agree with Francois. Banks or financial institutions are facing a lot of challenges. The stakeholders are aware about the digital transformation. Okay, they have a 3 to 5 years program. They have the budget, but they don't know how to make it happen because they are stuck with the old legacy system, and this is a problem. Okay, so the cultural element is a big aspect. The knowledge, okay, the expertise is not there. So first they have to move in the cloud computing. I work with some clients, and 2 years ago they didn't have any strategy about going in the cloud, okay, public cloud, private cloud, or hybrid cloud. And today, 2 years after, all of the banks, now they have a clear strategy of where they want to go. The problem is the expertise. So this is where FinTech and FI, there's a really good fit today to make it happen.
Absolutely, and I like a couple of things that has already been said. The idea of being stuck, Jacques, I believe you said that it's it's something that we often try and understand being external to FIs, but really how stuck you can be is something that we need to be discussing and to kind of get them unstuck. And the mention of cloud computing there, Jacques, is really great. I think what we're seeing, especially now with the context of COVID, I don't think we can have this conversation without talking about how COVID has helped accelerate some of these digital transformations, both internally and to consumers. So I think it's great to start seeing what are some of the technologies that are being implemented and being used on that as well. So maybe we can dive a little bit deeper. Both of you guys mentioned the culture internally. I see a few people from financial institutions here with us today, so I might resonate with a lot of them here, but we also have a lot of fintech startups that are here. And when they're trying to communicate with financial institutions and try to understand culture, especially in the context of digital transformation, what should they be keeping in mind, and why does culture play such a big role, and how can you work around that culture as well? And I'll pass it to you this time, Zach.
Yes, so I think there's a big clash in terms of generation. Okay, fintechs is the new generation. They bring innovation, new way of doing things. Compared to the financial institution, they have people that they are there for 20, 25 years, and to succeed in the digital transformation, there has to be a shift in the culture. Okay, so knowledge is a very important thing, and the baby boomer generation are closer to retirement than investing in new technology. So this is a challenge for a bank or financial institution, and this is what a fintech can bring to a bank is the agility, the flexibility, the technology. So this is what is going on right now in the banking industry, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and
I don't know if you agree, Francois.
Yeah, and as we were thinking about this, I tried to think a bit if I was starting a company and I was a startup and I wanted to scale the startup, and you said to yourself, I want to scale a startup to have 1 million employees. I want to do 190 million deployments a year. I want to retain my innovative edge, right? I want to maintain my ranking in the market and continue to drive massive innovation, right? And so how would you do that? And part of it is you need the right architecture, but in large part you need the right culture and the right leadership principles that are across the organization. And that company, by the way, if you guys know a bit about it, is actually AWS or Amazon, right? And they have a market cap of $1.5 trillion as of a few days ago. So what they were able to do, partly because they built from a digital base, right, and a technology base, is embed this culture within the company as they scaled. And it's much harder to do, talking from experience, right, working for a company that's nearing 100 years of existence. It is much harder to change the culture and transform existing processes. So that's why it's, and I think the one word that makes it so challenging is culture, right? And silos that are built, and the politics between the P&L ownerships, and all of these things that make it very difficult to navigate, organizations that have tens of thousands of employees.
Absolutely. And you're hitting on a key note here, Francois, and that's really the way I'm seeing or translating what you're saying, is that empathy, right? Can fintechs, for example, understand the specific challenges? Can they empathize and then re-navigate the conversation or their sales pitch to how they approach financial institutions?
Yeah, no, for sure. They have to solve a very specific problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely dive into more of how we can work around culture. And I think both of you hit on both of some really great points there. Francois, you with understanding empathy, and Jack with the age gap and how you can translate and really incentivize the right people in the right departments to do that. Just looking at time, maybe what I would like to kind of switch us a little bit into is some good case studies that you've seen. So maybe I'll start with you, Jack, and this can also include your organizations that you work with or potential clients that you've worked with, is some great examples of a financial institution that's gone through a digital transformation and why you think it's gone through it successfully. Jack, would you like to start?
Yeah. So a successful implementation is the stakeholder has to have a clear program. It starts from the stakeholder and then identify what are the problems and their ecosystem. Okay, they start with critical applications such as payment system, it's batch system, or right. My son is not able to write a check. Okay, in banks, many banks pay us by checks. Even in 2020, for me, it doesn't make any sense. So this is where we can assist our client, is to digital, get rid of paper, get rid of check, get rid of a contract. Okay, so contract. You don't sign any more contracts, especially in the COVID. Okay, you have to adopt a new digital e-signature. So this is what banks are doing right now. They automate, they get rid of paper, they get rid of checks. But the first step is to have a clear program, a clear strategy from the stakeholder, and then work with key partners. Okay, and what I mean by that is to work to identify which solution they want to implement or which solution they want to replace the old legacy payment system, and work with the right fintech that bring agility, flexibility, technology. So this is a very good timing for fintech to work with banks. Banks need innovation. Banks need to work with fintech, and fintech need the credibility of a bank. though this is the perfect partnership because it's a win-win situation. So the one that will, the banks that will have the capacity, the vision to work with fintech, they will be leaders and they will win. So status quo is not an option for them.
Absolutely.
And by the way, and banks are regulated by OSFI. Okay, this is fintech. They need to understand that banks are regulated and security compliance is really important. So, so if you are fintech, you have to think like a CIO of a bank, okay, about the data privacy, security, performance. This is key issues that you have to address when you want to work with a bank.
Absolutely, Jack. And we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into fintechs and the way they can approach banks properly in a second. But Francois, maybe I'll just give you a chance to see if there's any companies that you've seen that you've been really impressed with their digital transformation process.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to talk a bit about Fairstone. So impressed that I'll let you the group decide if it is or isn't. But no, I think the only interesting thing about the Fairstone journey is, again, we are our journey being owned by Citigroup, and we were part of Citigroup, the global leader, right, financial services, and from the early 2000s. And we were ultimately divested in 2017 and became, at that point, Fairstone. Long story short, post financial crisis, put in Citi Holdings, really focused on the efficiency of the business. Some underinvesting in some digital assets. Around 2015, we said we need to basically transform ourselves, otherwise we're going to get passed. From 2017, when the transaction was announced, we actually embarked into a 18-month journey. We had to migrate away from Citigroup because we were getting a lot of services from them. And then we migrated 100% of our entire technology stack into the cloud, right? And we became, I think we became the first Canadian financial institution of scale. And we're not a bank, right? So, but of scale to be 100% in the cloud. In fact, we have virtual desktops. We literally have everything in the cloud. And the point about that, which was more important, is that it forced us to really transform the way that we work as a business. So we started from the customer, we worked backwards from there, and also back office operations. We had to consolidate a multitude of systems into one, and a lot of those systems we have to completely transform the operations, right? And so it really, and now what it's enabling us to do is we have a great speed advantage, where we're able to move extremely rapidly based on the technology that we have, and that we're able to build upon, right? And one of the happy accomplishments that we're excited about is launching the exclusive partnership with Best Buy Canada with our Purple Pay solution that was exclusively built in the cloud, right? It's a cloud native application. And the thing is it'll scale essentially infinitely, right? And so we didn't have to provision all these servers. And so it's been proving to be very valuable. But the main note for us, and the way we think about technology, is it always needs to enable some kind of a business outcome. And it's the same thing with partnerships. We do partner with startups. We partner with startups as well. But it's very specific on a need that we're trying to solve. So, hopefully that adds a bit to the discussion tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great segue into our next question. Just for the audience that are still with us, we have about 6 more minutes. And then if you have any questions, we'll be encouraging you guys to go to the session rooms, and Nick will explain to you how to do that. So maybe I'll just take this chance to for Francois and Jack. You both mentioned fintechs. We have a lot of fintechs that are present here today. We work at Fintech Cadence with a lot of fintechs. We've seen now the importance that fintechs can play, especially with financial institutions and their digital transformations. And we've discussed a little bit what's the best way for them to approach them. But maybe if we can kind of take a humble step back and say, can fintechs, and Francois, I really like the example you gave with AWS, can fintechs actually approach large financial institutions and be their one-stop solution for everything? And I'm guessing what the answer is going to be. And if not, how can they approach financial institutions in the right way and collaborate with them in the right way to be able to be a part of their digital transformation? And maybe Jack, I'll start with you here.
Yeah, I think banks are putting in place an ecosystem of application or solution. They want to pick the best solution for their clients. So as a bank, they partner with different fintech, and they link all those applications through API, and they want to have a cloud native serverless solution. Now we see that the banks, FI, are issuing RFPs that they send to fintech, and they want to select the best fintech for their needs. So they are really open to work with fintech because they have to innovate. They have to accelerate the growth of the digital transformation. And the way to make it is to partner with fintech. So there is a huge opportunity for them as a fintech to work closely with banks. However, they need to meet very specific requirements.
Absolutely, Jack. And we'll end off it towards that in a little bit in terms of how regulation can actually, like how we can navigate the landscape, the regulatory landscape. Francois, maybe I'll give you an option, have an option to answer as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're not a bank, but we're a sizable financial services company. I can give you some insights to also how companies that have been successful partnering with us and those that have not. I think one of the challenges as well for fintechs is to move on, moving from a proof of concept into either production pilot, right? And moving from those innovation hubs and those where you're able to get traction, but then you can never seem to get the scale or the commercial agreement that was there. And I think one of the things that's worked for the startups that we've been working with is certainly that it's considering the guys that do innovation, the people that kind of love this stuff, they get all excited and it works, right? The challenge is not convincing the people that are in the innovation hub. The challenge is, how do I convince the rest of the stakeholders within the organization? And what problems am I solving for them rather than the innovation people, right? Because the innovation people, this is what they're paid for. They're paid to go and find great startups, right? And the companies that have, and the CEOs of the companies and the founders that have been really focused on the commercialization of the technology, but from a business outcome perspective, again, just personally, they've been more successful. And I think you have a better chance of successfully navigating a large FI because you're speaking the same lingo of the decision makers that are usually, whether you agree with it or not the people that are running the innovation hubs.
Absolutely. So, and if I can expand on that a little bit, I think sometimes what we often say is you need to find that correct champion when you start approaching partnerships in financial institutions. Any recommendations there, Francois, to add on what you just said on how do you find that right champion? Like you said, outside of the innovation hub or innovation.
Try to use as much of your network as you can. I mean, I worked for Citigroup and I used to get queries about this person. I'd be like, I have no idea who runs Singapore. But you're right. But use your network, and oftentimes, if you can find within the innovation hubs, if somebody really believes in, and hopefully they have a great network kind of internally, they can also facilitate, right? And it's not easy, but these events, I mean, try to seek people out, like myself at these events, or others that are more likely the ultimate decision makers. That can help, but it's not an easy. There's no magical answer. I think it's just the hustle, I guess, right, to get there.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. And through advising a lot of our startups, that's what we're starting to see, right? Is to expand. Just a small plug. You guys are all here for our audience that are listening. This is the purpose of why we have these kind of events to help you expand your network as well. But like you said as well, it's important for them to do the extra side hustle, which is to really understand what is that financial institution going through, who are the right people? What are they trying to do? What are their objectives as well?
I get, and just last note is I get probably 20 emails a day about companies in the world that can solve all of my problems, and they all have the same pitch, and sometimes I ask them, and sometimes they want to. We're exclusively on AWS, and that's pretty well known. And sometimes they're pitching to me on Microsoft. So I just reply, did you do any research? And they say it's the best use of your time, my time, to get with them and their time. And I'm always like, if you would have done 2 minutes worth of research, you would not be wasting your time chasing me down because there's no fit, right? So I think there's, you need to do a bit of the, anyway, Francois' opinion of the world, right? You need to do a bit of the work at times because it's not easy.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad you're saying it. I'm sure a lot of our audience member can relate to that. Maybe they're the ones who send those emails or they're the ones who receive those emails. So it's really great to see. We are running out of time. I do want to ask one last question, which has been really important that's come up before we wrap up. And just again, a reminder to our audience members following the panel, you're able to ask the panelists any questions you have on our Meet the Panel session. But maybe let's end off with the most fun topic of all when it comes to digital transformation, and that's regulations. And I know, Jack, you mentioned the importance of a regulatory landscape and for fintechs to understand how to navigate that. And as you mentioned, OSFI and how banks in Canada are regulated federally. So maybe we can end off with what's the best approach for both FIs and fintechs, especially when they're collaborating together. How do they navigate the regulatory landscape in a respectful and an appropriate manner?
Yeah, so FI are really open to work with fintech. However, you have to meet very specific requirements in terms of regulation because FI are regulated by OSFI in Canada, and data protection, cyber security, security of the data, where the data reside. Okay, it is important for FI because if it resides outside of Canada, you will have challenges. So you have to be ready to be challenged by the banks. You have to go through a very due diligence. Okay, you need to be compliant with those in terms of contracts. Okay, you have to be covered in terms of insurance. They ask for 5-10 million insurance coverage. So it's a big investment for fintech to be compliant with the FI requirements. The good news is FI are open to pay for those costs because you solve a problem, you bring innovation, you bring a technology, you bring a services that they have to move because they want to get rid of all legacy system. So this is my recommendation, and this is how we work with FI. We are compliant with all those requirements. It's a big investment for us, but at the end of the day, that cost is paid by our clients.
Right, absolutely, yes.
So be ready when you meet a CIO of a bank, talk about compliance, talk about technology, talk about certification, SOC 1, SOC 2, penetration testing, security. This is all the aspect that banks have constrained working with fintech.
Perfect. That's some great advice there, Jack. Thank you very much. And Francois, I'll let you end the question.
Yeah, no, actually, I think, Jacques, you have much more experience dealing with them, and it's really, as we were talking prior to this, very, I think you really understand it well. I think when we onboard companies, some of the first questions we ask is, are you SOC 2 Type 2, right? And if it's no, the process gets more complicated. And the other thing, when I was talking about startups that have been successful, you must understand the regulatory environment that the person you're trying to sell to works in. If it's in financial services, it's just you just won't get a call back. You'll eventually get to a major roadblock because at the end of the day, we are all regulated in a certain way. And that's an important function, right, of protecting the customer's data, for banks, the financial assets, and it's not a question of you kind of like it or you think it's right, or it's a mandatory must. And again, where we've had success was those that have been like, yeah, I understand that, and this is the answer. I understand that, and this is what we're doing, right? And it fast tracks and it builds confidence. And I think that's what gains the allows the organization to partner with relatively new company as opposed to maybe somebody who's been doing it for a long time. So
yeah, absolutely. And it touches on your point earlier, which is know and understand the language when you're coming into that as well. So, perfect. Well, I cannot thank you enough, Francois and Jack. I know we've just lightly skimmed the surface of the full beast of digital transformation. But again, I do want to remind our audience, maybe the third or fourth time, that our panelists will be staying on a little bit longer to speak to you. So if you have any questions, if you want them to expand on any points, if you want to put them in the hot seat a little bit, then I hope you guys don't mind. I'm just going to throw you there. Then make sure you go to the sessions and speak to them. With that being said, I thank you very much, Francois and Jack, for joining us right now, and I'll see you guys in the session rooms.
If it's too complicated, I'll have a technical glitch anyway, so.
Perfect. And Nick, I see you're back, so we'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Lael. Thank you, Francois and Jacques. Great panel. Well, very interesting insights, and like Lael mentioned, you'll be able to continue the conversation afterwards. I'm just going to wrap up very quickly and bring back my screen. So I'd like to thank the panelists and as well thank our sponsors who made this event possible. So thank you to EY and thank you to Expert for their support in our online series of FinTech Drinks. You'll see another poll that we'd invite you to fill out very quickly on this side, right where you voted for the startup a bit earlier, just to know your feedback of the evening on a scale of 1 to 10, what you thought. We're trying to improve, I think, like everybody, and trying to adapt to online events and trying to make them as great as possible. If you have any feedback, you could also write it at info@fintechcadence.com. We'd love to hear from you. And but we'd just like also a number score so we could try to figure out and track how we these events give you as much value as possible. Well, speaking about next events, there's another one coming up in September. This time we'll be speaking about mergers and acquisitions and the future of collaboration. So this is happening on September 16th, 2020 from 5 to 7 p.m. So we hope you'll be able to join us. We already confirmed the first speaker. His name is Robert Patterson. He's the president and CEO of Alterna Savings and Alterna Bank. Employs over 750 people. It's a credit union that's over 100 years old. He's worked at CIBC, JP Morgan company in the past, and has seen mergers and acquisitions. So we're excited to get his thoughts on how M&As are going to change or adapt to COVID and what that means for the end consumer and what that means for fintechs. So you'll get the link tomorrow with the registration. So you could already sign up to the next FinTech Drinks in September, and we hope to see many of you there. So like was mentioned, the event is not over. We're just going to be moving from the main stage to a different part of this platform. You'll see it right over there. There's the sessions button. In sessions, there's going to be, you'll have the opportunity to meet the panelists, to be able to ask your questions, come on screen and chat with them. You'll also be able to meet the Holt startups. So there's going to be 3 different rooms there where you could chat with the startups that pitched in the InsurTech group, the blockchain block, like Jan said, as well as the AI startups. So we'd invite you to move around, meet with the startups, learn more about what you do and make some interesting connections. The sessions will be open for the next 15 minutes, so they'll close at 45. We ran a bit over time, so maybe 10-minute sessions. So your time and the networking is open. You'll be able to go in networking rooms as well. And once the sessions are closed, the networking will remain open to about 7:15, 7:30. So if you want to keep meeting with people, you can do it. It's a bit of a round robin approach. Whoever's available, you'll be able to meet with them and yeah, meet and connect one-on-one. That ends tonight's event. We're going to stop the live stream, but thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again in September. So thanks, everyone. Cheers, Prost, salut, and until next time.